The world held its breath in the early 1940s, a time of great uncertainty and fear. War had returned to Europe, bringing with it a wave of destruction and despair. The horrors of the Great War were still fresh in everyone's minds, a haunting reminder of the past, yet here they were again facing another global conflict, bracing for the worst. In the East, Japan, a rising power with a proud military tradition, was making aggressive moves, expanding its reach. At the heart of this storm was Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, a man who would shape the course of the Pacific War with his strategic brilliance. He was a brilliant strategist, revered and respected by his peers. Yamamoto was also a reluctant warrior, deeply aware of the potential devastation a war with the United States could unleash, a war he knew would be costly. His story, from the hallowed halls of Japan's Naval Academy to a fiery crash in the jungles of the Solomon Islands, is one of ambition, miscalculation, and ultimately tragedy, a tale of a man caught in the tides of history. The world was on the brink of chaos, teetering on the edge of an abyss. The League of Nations, formed after the First World War to prevent further conflicts, proved ineffective, unable to curb the rising tide of aggression. Aggressor nations like Germany, Italy, and Japan saw an opportunity to expand their influence, seizing the moment. They felt emboldened by the world's hesitation to confront them, a hesitation that would prove costly. Japan, resource-scarce and ambitious, looked to secure its dominance in Asia, driven by a need for resources and power. This ambition put them on a collision course with the United States, a sleeping giant with vast industrial might and a growing presence in the Pacific, ready to defend its interests. The stage was set for a clash of titans, a confrontation that would shape the future of the world. On one side was the United States, a nation still recovering from the Great Depression, but possessing vast potential military power, ready to mobilize. On the other side was Japan, a nation with a centuries-old warrior culture and a powerful modern navy honed for war in the Pacific, prepared for battle. At the center of this impending storm was Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, a man of vision and foresight, a man who understood the stakes better than most, aware of the immense challenges ahead. Yamamoto knew that Japan, despite its initial victories, could not win a protracted war against the United States, a reality he could not ignore. He had seen firsthand the industrial might of America during his time as a naval attaché in Washington, D.C., an experience that left a lasting impression. He understood the sheer scale of American resources and production capacity, a formidable force. Yet he was bound by duty to his emperor and his country, a duty he could not forsake. He carried the heavy burden of knowing that the war he was about to unleash was likely unwinnable, a burden that weighed heavily on his conscience. Isoroku Yamamoto, the man who would become the architect of the Pearl Harbor attack, was a complex and contradictory figure, embodying both the brilliance of a strategist and the heart of a pacifist. He was a brilliant strategist, whose tactical acumen was respected by both allies and adversaries alike. Yamamoto was a man of peace who understood the futility of war, often expressing his concerns about the devastating consequences of prolonged conflict. Born in 1884, Yamamoto's life was intertwined with the rise of Japan as a formidable naval power, a journey that would shape his destiny. He graduated from the prestigious Imperial Japanese Naval Academy in 1905, marking the beginning of a distinguished military career. Yamamoto served with distinction in the Russo-Japanese War, a conflict that saw Japan emerge as a major force on the world stage, altering the balance of power in the region. Yamamoto's time in the United States as a naval attaché in the 1920s proved to be formative, offering him a unique perspective on international relations. He witnessed firsthand the industrial might of America, a stark contrast to Japan's limited resources, which deeply influenced his strategic thinking. This experience convinced him that Japan could not win a prolonged war against the United States, a belief that would guide his future decisions. He developed a deep respect for American culture and its people, even as he prepared to lead his nation into war against them, a testament to his complex nature. This internal conflict, the duality of admiring his enemy while planning to attack them, weighed heavily on Yamamoto, creating a profound personal struggle. Despite his reservations about war with America, Yamamoto was a loyal servant of the Japanese Empire, committed to his duty. He believed in his duty to his emperor and his country, a belief that ultimately drove his actions. When war became inevitable, he threw himself into planning with his characteristic strategic brilliance, determined to secure a swift victory. Yamamoto knew that Japan's only chance for victory lay in a swift, decisive blow against the American Pacific Fleet, a gamble that would change history. This belief led him to develop the audacious plan to attack Pearl Harbor, a move that would forever alter the course of World War II. December 7th, 1941 is a date etched in infamy in the annals of history. It marks the day the Imperial Japanese Navy launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The attack, masterminded by Admiral Yamamoto, was a desperate gamble, a bold attempt to cripple the US Pacific Fleet and buy Japan time to consolidate its gains in Asia. The attack was a tactical success, sinking or damaging numerous American battleships and aircraft. Yamamoto knew that the attack on Pearl Harbor was a risky proposition. He understood that it would inevitably awaken the sleeping giant that was the United States. He famously predicted that he could run wild for 6 months, but could offer no guarantees after that. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a turning point in history. It galvanized American public opinion against Japan, uniting a divided nation and propelling the United States into the Second World War. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a shock to the world. Newspapers were filled with images of burning ships and devastated airfields. The audacity of the attack, the sheer scale of the destruction, left the world reeling. The attack had the desired effect on the United States. It awoke a sleeping giant, igniting a fury that would fuel the American war effort for many years to come. The American people, outraged by the attack on their soil, were united in their resolve to defeat Japan.